thank you for joining me. This is Debra Anastasia and her new release. Congratulations on Drowning in Stars.
Oh my gosh, I love that cover.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
It's just, it's gorgeous.
My cover designer dropped it in my messages and I was like, well, this is perfect. I can't, like, there was no suggestions of changes. It was literally just bam, there it is.
Yeah.
She came up with the back cover, which this is I made like a little thing. You can't really
how pretty.
see it, but
I love it.
She's sort of a plus size girl too on the back, which I love, representation of all different types. And I just love it. Love that cover.
So who designed your cover?
TJ Designs, kind of a mysterious girl. Yeah, you gotta kind of search her down if you're interested. So
it's beautiful. It's absolutely
so talented. She actually just dropped the cover for the sequel in my messages, and I didn't even know I was writing a sequel until I saw her cover.
Oh, so when do you start that one?
I don't know. I guess soon.
Yeah,
break it up a little bit because just a little funny.
So, what is your primary genre that you write in? Or are you kind of all over?
I've done paranormal, which I think is the easiest to write, because paranormal, you create. Oh, is this a problem? I'll just wrap my way out of it. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so this superpower just evolved. So I really like paranormal for that reason. Comedy comes easiest and is the stupidest thing that I write, and I love to write comedy because I make myself laugh because I'm easily amused. And but I think that the readers seem to gravitate to the angst.
So how many books is this? What book number is this one?
I want to say maybe 17.
Wow.
It's a guesstimate. Yeah, it's been a while. It's haven't released since 2018, December 2018. I don't know. It was like 600 days since I last released a book.
Wow.
And you don't realize how doing everything that you do for an authoring, it becomes ingrained in your everyday. Like, wow, we do a lot.
Yeah.
Like, okay, check this, check that, check this, do this, and everything's changed quite a bit in that amount of time. So.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's like you try to set time aside to write, but life gets in the way, and you're like, oh, I'll just double up tomorrow, and
exactly
tomorrow turns into 2 weeks.
Yep, and you're like, wow, this isn't great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the current Halloween, I think I have, if I'm lucky, 500 words. So, and that's 2 nights progress.
You have,
you can do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think that's what was great about get into the anthology.
Yeah, the anthology.
That was what was great about that for me, was that something to write to. There was I don't know, there was something about it, about working with it, knowing that everybody had the same starting line, and, just kind of that creativity that it opened up, that was, and it helped me to write, because I hadn't been writing. I don't think I released since last year. So it was like, okay, well, let me write something. And then I really enjoyed it.
Same. And it was not an intimidating amount of words. You're like, oh, I can get that done. And that opening line is such a kicker. Like, you're like, oh, I want to write that story,
Right. Well, and I got stuck on it. I was like, ooh, okay. And I think I had 3 or 4 different ideas, and I'm like, which one am I going to do? What, because it's like, I can go dark, or how am I going to, work this? For some reason, it was a challenge, but then once I got it, it was like, it clicked.
It's flowing. Now, are you going to turn it into a book?
I am. Are you?
Down the line. Yeah, I didn't actually expect the sequel to Drowning in Stars to be something that was on my plate. So I may have to shuffle what I wrote in here.
I'm telling you, Drowning in Stars, like I said, I can't put it down. It really is. I'm one that when I read, it's a movie playing in my head. And I think it's the same way when I write, and not all books can get me into that movie. And so as I'm right from the beginning, I can picture these rooms, and I can picture the street where they're at. And it's not like you're overly detailed. It's not like it's mundane detail. It's like you don't even realize that detail's there until I'm like, oh, okay, I know where she's talking about. I know where this is. I know where the school is. And,
Yep.
And I think that's really neat. And I like their banter and their humor with each other.
Oh, they're so cute. I fell so in love with the two of them. And more than I think any characters I've ever had. Yeah.
So the names are interesting. Gaze and Pixie. And so you said Gazer Beam is how his dad gave him the name. What was that for you?
Pixie Ray was just Pixie Ray. I collect names like Rumpelstiltskin. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
And I have like them written on my calendar. I email them to myself through my phone. I make my children text message them to me. Really, your name's Stealer too, I'm sure. This is what we do. Yeah. You thought you'd just name your kids. No, now you're naming.
Oh, yeah. I have a journal from high school where cool names were, and I'll like every once I'm like, hey, what name is that?
Gaze. I love names with the X, with the Z. Try and work that in, and that was his name, Gaze. I don't know honestly how they.
Well, and I think I was just like I hadn't heard a name like that before, and I was like, that's a really cool name, and I was like, there's got to be something to it. Like, where did that? What made you go with that? So with the One More Step anthology, obviously you had done a book for the Bookworm. Were you in the young adult or the regular box?
I was in the adult box with my book Mercy, which is about a gentleman that he had a hard childhood. Again, the angst, right? So he happened to see his father kill his mother, and a little girl stepped in between his dad, and he was going to hit him in the grocery store, and she stepped between him and said, don't hit people. And he never forgot it. And she wound up saving his life because the dad sort of just cooled off enough to go home. And so then Nick, which is his name, wound up just following her to make sure his dad would never hurt her, because he holds grudges. And as he gets older, he realizes he's starting to look like his own father a lot. So he went and got a skeleton tattoo from head to toe, because he'd rather see a monster than see his father in the mirror. So he's been following her all this time, and she works in a bar, and they decide to have a Day of the Dead party. And he can go in and meet her finally, because he's got the skeleton on it. So that's their story. And that was the one that was in the Bookworm box for me. And how did you get in the anthology?
I had a young adult, and mine was Summer Bucket List. So I had one in that actually before Book Bonanza last year, and that was I loved it. It was so much fun. It was such an honor to be a part of that. One, the signing, and the of course the anthology, and to be asked to do the box is really cool.
Enjoyed that, and the covers on this are so cool too. I think Murphy Ray, whose middle name I stole for Pixie Ray. Don't tell her. Designed that. She's so talented.
Oh, she is so talented.
I was writing Disney trip reports about my family, because my parents used to work in Disney World. So our most financially reasonable vacation was Disney, because they would get us in the front door. So when the kids were growing up, that was our vacation spot, was with my parents. And they worked very hard. So we would go down and spend time in Disney World. And then when I came back, I would write up little trip reports, because there's a site where people were writing their funny trip reports. So I started writing that one just to make us laugh, and it eventually picked up, and people were interested in that. So that gave me the courage to write Twilight fan fiction.
Okay.
And so then I went to Twilight fan fiction and wrote about a homeless Edward who falls for Bella, who smiles at him every day, even though he's homeless. And he owns nothing but the number of smiles she's given him over the years. So then eventually he needs a defender, and she steps up, and that's how their love story starts. And then I wound up, the readers wanted that in book form, so I published it. And I've been trucking along ever since. I think I published Poughkeepsie in 2011. So I published that in 2011, and I'm writing ever since and loving it. It's lots of fun. And it takes a lot to get that first, put the words on the page, and then you realize you're cracking your head open like an egg, and everybody can see inside. Yeah. What about you? How did you get started?
Turned 35 and said, or no, was it 30? I don't know anymore. 35. Yeah, I turned 35 and I told my husband, I was like, I think I want to write a book. And he goes, okay. And I did. And I was like, there's just going to be one, but I just loved it. And he's been so supportive that, you know, my daughters are super supportive too. So that makes it, you know, really, and I can do it whenever or not do it whenever. You know, that's right. So if you were doing the Twilight fan fiction, then that means you're with Liv and probably Erica and Susie and Daisy and all that. There's like a group of y'all that kind of all did that. That's I love that.
It is the cutest, and it comes from that fan fiction world, which is the most amazing university for learning to write I've ever seen, because the people that read fan fiction read the same characters in different stories, can keep it straight, and they've recently changed it, but the font is like this big on the computer, and it's not easy to read on that, you know.
Yeah.
And these are hardcore readers that are going to read because they have to, you know, and what a lovely experience to be read by fan fiction readers is phenomenal. So even now, if we see somebody that was a fan fiction reader or author that's coming forward and publishing, it was like a once in a lifetime experience. So I do think still writing fan fiction or Wattpad or trying your hand online is really useful, especially if kids or adults are willing to give you their time to read. No children read my stories. Like I always feel like time is more valuable than money, and when somebody's willing to invest time with your words, it's humbling and it's an honor.
So if you had it, you know, someone comes up to you and they're, you know, I think I want to write like your son did, you know, what would be your advice? Like what would be your first thing to do?
Do it. That'd be my first thing to do. Open that blank page and write like no one's ever going to read it. Right? Yeah. The thing that scares you the most. What are you afraid to write? You got to start there, because that's where your imagination is, like waiting to catch fire, right? Like you've got to get in there and write. And I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to write, because if it works for you and you enjoy it, it opens a lot of beautiful doors where you can connect to people that you may have never met, you know, different countries. It's a lovely experience. I say it's the safest daredevil thing you can ever do is take a chance on writing. You're not jumping off a building. Go find your voice. That's how you find your voice, is what you write, what scares you.
What's the best advice you've ever gotten from someone, be it a critique or something?
I think we all struggle to try and do it, but to not take negatives to heart.
Yeah.
Try and look at those with a business set of eyes. Is there anything you can learn from it?
So have you written with someone before?
Yes, we did an anthology. I actually have a coaster of it. Felony Ever After, and it's 13 authors, one story. So we would write a chapter and then send it to the next person, and then they would write the next chapter and send it to the next person. And it was hilarious because we opened, forget if it was my chapter or not, but it's about a girl who's working in an office job, and when she comes downstairs, she gets in a cab, and a bike messenger gets in with her, and then as they're driving, the taxi cab driver gets in a road rage fight with someone. So the bike messenger drives the taxi to her house and drops her off. And so, you know, it's felony that he stole the car. And,
that's funny.
So it's their little romance after that. And we had a box that he's a bike messenger that he dropped off at her office. And we kept shuffling to the next person in the next chapter, until finally Catherine Stevens, who hadn't even released her first book yet, I was like, hey, it's your turn, and you're going to get the hardest part of the book because I want to know what's in the box now. And she was like, you are not giving me what's in the box. I was like, you're getting what's in the box. And it's like, you know, sort of like a hazing situation, because all the girls before her definitely written books before, and I also knew she had the talent to do it. Like her
Yeah.
sense of humor is ridiculous. And what she put in the box killed us all. I'm not going to spoil it, but
Now I have
every
to read
single
this.
one of us busted out laughing. And I was like, what are we going to do with this? But we had to do something. So then the rest of the story sort of fell around what was in this box. It was so horrible.
Oh my gosh.
It was the best. It was so funny. And it was like everybody would send more and more boxes and we didn't. And how do you work that into the plot? It was hilarious. Hilarious. Yeah. So we wrote, but it was a lot of work. The editing process to make it smooth was a lot of work. I worked with Jessica Royer-Auken on that, and she's ridiculously talented. And she and I were like, okay, let's make it work. And then I pulled some authors in. I was like, you gotta, write this gap section. And so, but it was hilarious, fun, and amazing. So
I congratulations on the book. Seriously, happy release week and everything.
Oh,
Of course, by the time this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks since release, and hopefully I'm hearing that you're ranking and doing awesome.
Yeah,
and
doing what I have to do. Yeah, it's done really cool things, and the reviews are making me grateful that I wrote it, because it seems like it's touching people, and I really
I think it's great.
Yeah, I really fell for these characters, so I'm glad that they're in safe hands and everybody's taking them the way they were intended to be taken, which is nothing really, right?
Well, and so I will definitely be getting one of these to do a giveaway soon. So I have to.
Well, let me know, because
that's great.
I'll send out swag too. So let me know who the winner is.
Awesome.
I got swag for days.
It's such a good book, and I highly recommend people get this, because it really is wonderful, and I can't wait to finish it, because when I finish this interview, I'm going to go back to finishing it.
Okay. Well, I super hope you enjoy the ending, and it does what you need it to do for you, because that's its job in life. Yeah. So thanks so much, and hopefully we'll be hanging out in a book bash in the future.
Yes.
And I look forward to signing our names together in this book.
Yes, yes, and everybody needs to
jazz.
go check out Drowning in Stars by Debra Anastasia.
And
It's
we're
awesome
waiting for
talking
your
with
book
you.
to get, and it's so cool talking to you. Thanks. It's been so fun. Totally enjoyed it.
Yes, I did too.